everyone, it's Jennifer from Fiber Flux. In this video, we're going to learn how to crochet the quick gift coffee cozy. So these are easy and quick little sleeves that we've made up with some super simple stitches. And I've added just a special button to each one for a totally different look. This is part of the 12 weeks of gifting event that's going on right now in Fiber Flux. We are making a quick gift every week for 12 weeks leading up to the holiday season. Each one of these is made with the same yarn, same chunky yarn, same size hook. We're just kind of switching up the colors and the projects each week. This is a great way to use some extra yarn this week for this project. And if you have some kind of random stray buttons, this is a great way to kind of use those up as well. This makes a lovely gift. You can slip it, now let me just show you real quick. You can slip it onto a, hold on, I'm grabbing my cup. You can slip it onto a cup, just like that, and you could gift it as is. Now this is a reusable cup, so you could fill it up with some treats, some coffee, some tea, some little chocolates or something like that. And it makes a great little gift. This would be good for even a stocking stuffer or a teacher gift or something like that. So, two more things I wanted to mention is that we have two groups for all of the crochet alongs and all of the series that we do on here. The 12 weeks of gifting series is being celebrated in both of our groups. We have a Ravelry group, we have a Facebook group so you can connect with other makers. Also use the hashtag FiberFluxCal to share your work. Now the finished coffee sleeve is about 11 inches around and has a height of about 3.5 inches. So it will fit a cup that is, let me grab my cup again, that is about this tall, but you can easily change the starting chain size to make it larger or smaller. There's no special stitch count for this project. So let's get started. For this project, you'll need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle, a ruler or tape measure is helpful to get the dimensions that you need. You'll need a button, one per cup cozy. I'm going to be making a couple, so I grabbed several buttons. If you have some of those buttons that you end up with that are just a single kind of stray button, this is the perfect project for that. And you can really get creative with your buttons. Any decorative button will work. It's not going to be a functional button. So if you just have like a random special button, feel free to use that. As a side note, this is the button that I made. It's a fabric covered button, and I have a video for that. I'll put the link down below for that as well. For the yarn, we're going to be using the same yarn that we're using for every project in this series. We're going to be using Red Heart Super Saver Chunky, and also we'll use the same size hook for all the projects in the 12 weeks of gifting series. Now, for this particular project, though, I'm going to be using the buff. This is the gray heather, and then this green down here is called tea leaf. And really you can use any colors you like. It comes in tons of colors. And this one, as you can see, has no label. It's sort of like the scrappy leftovers. And I pulled that on purpose because I just kind of wanted to show you that you don't need a lot of yarn for this project, and it's a great project for using up scraps. So let's get started. So I have my yarn and my hook and my button for this one. I went ahead and stitched up one in the buff color and one in this pretty green color and did some different buttons. Now it's just one simple single button in the center, but you can see how it really changes the look when you start mixing up the buttons. So I'm going to use this fabric covered button for this one. So what we want to do is we're going to do a starting chain, and then we're going to work in the round and work up using the half double crochet stitch. This is a super easy little project. So what we want to do is put a slip knot on our hook. Wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop, bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your hook, bring up the loop, and tighten. Next we're going to chain 20, okay? And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So to make a chain, wrap yarn around hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Next, we want to join to create our ring. Then we'll be working upward in like a cylindrical shape. Next, what we're going to do is join. So we're going to be creating this large ring and working upward like a cylinder shape. So we want to be careful not to twist. So what I do is I like to run my finger down the length of the chain, and that will ensure that you don't twist it. Now take your hook and insert it in that chain farthest from your hook. And then what you're going to do is wrap the yarn around the hook and bring it through. Now you're going to bring that loop through the loop that's already on your hook, and you're ready to begin. Now what we're going to do while we work this first round is we're going to be working into the chains, and I'm also going to be holding this tail along the edges I work as well to weave it in as we go, and that'll save you a step later. So we're going to be working half double crochets, and they're super easy and quick to do. So what we want to do is work a half double crochet into this first chain. So wrap yarn around hook, insert the hook into that first chain, wrap yarn around hook, and bring up a loop. You'll now have 3 loops on your hook. Wrap yarn around hook and bring it through all 3 loops. You can use your left hand to sort of guide it through. Now we're going to do the same thing in the next chain. Still holding that tail along the edge here as we work to weave it in as we go. Wrap yarn around hook, insert the hook into that chain, bring up a loop, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through all 3 loops. Let's do that one more time slowly, and then we'll pick up speed. Wrap yarn around hook, insert the hook into that chain, bring up a loop, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through all 3 loops. And we're just going to do this all the way around for round 1 of our coffee cozy. Now, like I said, this stitches up really, really fast. You could definitely get a batch done in one sitting, get a couple of those done. This is one of those projects that is great for stash busting, and it adds a little homemade touch to a gift. You could pair it up with a special cup or some coffee, like a bag of nice coffee or a box of nice tea, and kind of pair it together with those. Or you could make a set of 3 for someone who you know, drinks coffee or tea on a regular basis. And this is also a great project if you have, I know I have a lot of single buttons around that aren't really part of a set. So this is a great way to kind of personalize the cozy with some buttons that you may be wanting to use up as well. Okay, so I feel like I've sufficiently woven in my tail. So I'm going to sort of give it a slight tug and drop it. We don't need to hold it along the edge anymore. I've gone more than halfway around with it, and I think that's totally fine. I wanted to show you a little tip too. When you're using these center pull skeins of yarn like I'm using, if you're using the Super Saver Chunky, they have a little diagram on here that if you go at this end, see how it says 2? If you go down to this end, you can pull it from the center. If you go down to this end, you pull it from the outside. So I just wanted to show you that as a tip. These center pull skeins are really nice when you're working on projects. They just stay put so nicely, and they really help you see how much you have left. The middle, when you pull from the center like that, the middle sort of becomes hollow. Okay, we're just working those half double crochets all the way around. I can also envision this project if you want to make it seasonal. You could do seasonal colors as well. Okay, so now we're at the end of our round, and we're just going to join with a slip stitch in that, remember that chain 2 we did? That topmost chain. Let me back up so I can tell you what I'm doing here. Insert the hook into that topmost chain, bring up a loop. Now bring that loop through the loop already on your hook. And round 1 is complete. Now before we proceed rather, I'm going to take this tail. Remember we wove it in as we went? I'm just going to give it a little tug and a snip, just to get it out of my way so it's not hanging around while I'm working. Okay, so let's begin round 2. Now round 2 is the row, or the round rather, that you'll repeat for the rest of your project. So once again, chain 2, and then you're going to work a half double crochet into that first stitch, and in every stitch all the way around, okay? So go all the way around with your half double crochets, and I'll just take you around this round as well. Now, if you are a beginner, there are a couple things you can do on YouTube. You can back up the video as many times as you like to rewatch any portion, and these videos will be up forever if you ever need to come back and refer to them. They also have a slow motion feature that you can use, and it allows you to slow down the video as well. Now my voice might sound kind of funny, but you can really see everything in slow motion that way. And if you are a more seasoned crochet veteran, you can sort of speed up the video, skip past parts that you may already know if you're familiar with a stitch. So you can really kind of cater this tutorial to any skill level. And these are really easy basic stitches, which I particularly enjoy when I'm, you know, using crochet to relax. Okay, so we're at the end of the round already. And we're just going to count 2 chains up, join with a slip stitch to close that round as well. So round 2 is, whoops, I didn't mean to wrap yarn around hook, just insert it without wrapping yarn around hook. Bring up a loop, bring that loop through the loop already on your hook. Okay, so round 2 is complete. So I'm going to continue working my round 2 until my height matches the one that I already have here. So we're going to depart for a moment, and then when we rejoin, I'm going to show you how to finish off your cozy. Just working that last half double crochet of our round, and then we're going to join with a slip stitch to close. It might be a little snug, that's okay, just kind of rock it back and forth in there. Okay, and then bring that loop through. So now we can fasten off our yarn, wrap the yarn around the hook, and pull it through. Now this was a brand new skein of yarn. I hadn't used any yarn from this before. Let me just zoom out so you can see what I'm doing here. And as you can see, we've used very, very little of our yarn, okay? So let's get this end woven in and get our button on next. So turn your cozy inside out. Now that one tail we wove in as we went along, so we have dealt with that. We don't need to deal with that anymore. So we can thread our tapestry needle. And then, and then because we're on the inside part of our piece, we're going to weave it into, try to stay in the back loops area, okay? Now these are solid colors, so it'll be a little bit forgiving in terms of camouflaging your tail. So just go in one direction, give it a little tug, come back in the other direction with your tail, okay? And then pull that through and trim with your scissors. Okay, now turn it back out, and then that area where you joined the round, we want to put that on the back. So we're going to have the front here to sew our button. So what you want to do next is position the button where you'd like it to be. Now I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I actually made this button with a kit. It's a little kit where you get the post and you get like a little piece of circle metal on top. You take any fabric scrap you like and you sort of press it, and it creates this really cool fabric covered button. I have a full video tutorial on this if you'd like to make your own button. So this piece here would be 100% handmade, including the button. Okay, moving right along, let's grab our yarn again and just cut maybe like 12 inches or so. And the loop here on the back of my button, I think that this tapestry needle we used earlier is going to be a little bit big, okay? So I grabbed a smaller tapestry needle, and that easily goes through. All right, so thread your little strand that you cut. And then what you're going to do is, now my eye of my needle is a little bit small for the bulk of this, but it fits through the button. So, you know, you got to pick one or the other. I'm going to turn it so that my strawberries are facing the right way here. Okay, so then we want to turn it back out, just holding it in place like that. And you can see, I don't know if you can see that, but the little loop is just barely visible. So you're going to pick up a little bit of yarn, go through that metal loop of the button, and come back, pick up some more yarn on the other side, and pull it through. And I like to leave a little tail here and then just make one more pass through here, okay? Just to make sure it's nice and secure because it's going to go onto a cup. And then just pull it through again. Now you can pull your needle off and then go ahead and tie those two ends together. Give it a couple of nice strong knots. And I'm going to switch to the bigger needle because it's a little bit easier to maneuver with this thicker yarn. And we're just going to weave those ends in, okay? So just go in one direction, same thing we did earlier. Go in one direction. My tail's getting a little bit small, and that's okay. Come back in the other direction. Snip with your scissors. And then do the same thing for the other tail. Just kind of wiggle it through there if you need to. Stay in those back loops so it won't be visible from the front. And then you're done. So let's give it a little snip and turn it right side out. You might need to straighten things out a bit. And now we have a beautiful set of coffee cozies, and they're all unique in their own special way. We have one with our handmade fabric button. Has like sort of like a folk art look to it. We have this one with our garment button. Looks very like almost like those wool camel jackets with the fancy buttons. And then we have a very fallish looking one with a little wood leaf on there, kind of like an earthy one. So feel free to go crazy with the colors, and just these are just so fun to kind of whip out, and you can pair them up with other gifts very easily as well. Let me grab my little cup here. I have a little cup, and what I'm going to do is, let's grab the one we just made. You can just slip it right on there. You want it to have sort of a snug feel. Now if you're doing a larger cup, you'll want to make your starting chain a little bit bigger, but it fits on there very nicely. Has a snug feel, and this is actually a reusable cup. You could pop the lid open and fill it up with some treats or some tea bags or some fancy coffee or chocolates or something like that, and it makes a lovely little gift. So that is how you crochet the quick gift coffee cozies. Again, this is part of our 12 weeks of gifting event on Fiber Flux, a new quick gift project each week. Be sure and use the hashtag FiberFluxCal, and I'll put it up top so you can see. And you can share your work on social media, and I would love to see all of your projects. We have a Ravelry group, we have a Facebook group, all the links are below, so hop on to those groups, join those groups when you get a chance, and you can connect with all the makers that are working on these projects as well. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again!